Here's another podcast interview from the WJCW morning team, Thinking Out Loud.
Joining us this morning, J.R. Cooper, an area author. Good morning, J.R.
Good morning, fellas.
Glad you could join us this morning here.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, glad to do it. Glad to do it here. You're first-time author, and we'll talk about the book process in a little bit. But if you will, J.R., just so we can all get acquainted around our coffee cups this morning, tell us a little bit about yourself. You from the area?
I am. I was born in Johnson City, kind of grew up and traveled all over, and moved back here about 3 years ago. Mm-hmm. And, yeah, I'm home.
There you go. Glad to have you back home as well, too. So, since you've been back, now, you've just published your first book called The Lost Saint.
Last Saint.
I'm sorry, The Last Saint. Had you been carrying that around in your head, inside your body, and your heart for a while, or did it just sort of spring up?
Well, the story itself sprung up. The information that I was trying to get across was from studies, theological studies and apologetics. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I don't know if you're familiar with the field of apologetics. It's defense.
Basically, defending and explaining.
Mm-hmm. Very good. Yep, that's it in a nutshell. So I taught classes, I studied, and this was just a creative outlet to get some of that out in a fun adventure story.
Okay, it's a work of fiction. So, if you will, give us just a quick thumbnail of what's going on in the book, and then we'll talk a little bit about some of the underlying things that you've written into it.
Well, if you're familiar with the doctrine of the rapture, mm-hmm. It's basically, if that is a definitive event that happens in the future, then it also stands to reason that there will definitively be a last saint or a last person to be saved. Okay. So the book is sort of about not only the rise of the geopolitical situation that would have to take place for the end times to occur in eschatology, mm-hmm. but also what that last saint would look like and the people surrounding, in this case, her. Yeah. Mm-hmm. What those events would look like.
Yeah, so she discovers a diary or gets a diary, and her father, is that what it was?
Well, it was actually her husband in the book.
Okay.
So he sent an apologetics diary from overseas, and without giving too much away,
I'm sure.
He lost his life overseas in Israel. And she is, of course, shocked by that, shocked by the existence of the Apologetics Journal. Mm-hmm. This is sometime in the not-so-distant future. So a lot of political and religious tumult has been going on, and she's kind of reacting to those events, mm-hmm. and it pulls her into a situation where she's got to deal with these things.
And I would presume, too, that it pulls each of us as a reader into it as well to ask ourselves, what would we do in a similar situation?
Well, hopefully.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I've been told that it's a page-turner, but I'm biased, so it's hard for me to say that that's the case. But I think it's a grabber.
How long did it take you to put it together?
I actually wrote the first draft in 3 weeks.
Wow.
That's good.
This is a big, thick, hefty book, too.
Yeah. Well, it sort of flew out. It was in my heart, like you said,
right.
And the story, the main story itself, it just came out. Once I started writing it, it just didn't stop. Of course, after that, I worked on it. Because this was my first book, I wasn't sure I was even going to publish it. Right. I just, like you said, had to get it out of my heart. Mm-hmm. And once I did, and it became possible to publish it, and it was accepted, it was like, okay, let's go back to the drawing board, see what the weaknesses are. Right. Let's study the craft of writing a little bit more in depth so that I can deliver a good product to people, mm-hmm. and not just
So you had a good editor with you, working with you?
Oh boy, that's important.
Yeah. Well, the editor and the copy editor that I worked with was provided by Touch Publishing Services, mm-hmm. out of Arlington, Texas.
Who published your book?
Yes, sir.
Mm-hmm.
And they have an editor on staff, and they helped me edit, and we collaborated on the work to finish it up, to polish it.
Yeah. Folks that I've talked to, other authors have said that in that editing process, initially, when they got some of the recommendations back from the editor, they're going, "Oh no, this is my baby. I can't take that out, or I can't do this." Did you have that same sort of trepidatious feeling initially?
Well, our work relationship was really positive for the most part. They call that killing your darlings in the business, right? Because you've got these sections that you adore, and I think film people have to do that a lot too, where you cut off the some of your favorite parts. But I didn't have to do that a whole lot. To be honest with you, it was more about the tone. If we chose a sentence or an adjective that relayed the wrong tone in a character arc, or the tone of that person's feelings at that particular time, we would look at that, and then of course grammar.
Yeah, there you go. There's always that,
which
too.
is not my strong suit.
Thank God for editors, right?
That's right. That's right.
Go.
That's what they're there for.
Indeed. I've yet to talk to an author who's been published who doesn't have another one in the works.
I do have another one in the works.
I thought so.
I do. I got the itch.
Yeah.
So I used to write in music, and so that writing has been there for a long time for me.
Expression, yeah.
Yeah. And so now that this has been published, I don't know if it's going to be successful or not. Of course, I hope it is.
Sure.
But I have the itch, and and I have I've been studying apologetics for probably about 12 years now, and it's a passion of mine. It's one of my favorite subjects. So it's impossible to cover all the aspects of apologetics in one book, even if you were writing just about that. So forget about presenting a story. So there's a lot of opportunity to take what I know in those studies and hopefully turn them into really interesting stories that include some of those aspects.
Have you made copies available to advanced readers to give you feedback on it?
Well, yeah, I have some social media marketing going on and some reviews going on. So there will be some of that. Yeah.
Okay. Well,
and of course, it'll be available in an ebook as well. And I think some of the review processes, when that comes out, that'll be an easier way to get some of those reviews.
Sure, because it's instant. It's instantaneous.
Yeah.
The online aspect of it as well too. When you first started out with the book here. And you said you wrote it in 3 weeks, and you must have been hair on fire during that time.
I was, yeah. I felt sorry for my wife because I was bugging her every 5 minutes, and I was up until 2, and it was just, it was coming.
Could you not get the story out of your head? Was that what it was?
Yeah, it was keeping me up at night. It was, I had the characters in my head, and
many authors have said that the characters end up writing their own way through the book. Has that happened to some of the characters with you, especially your protagonist?
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
How do you handle that? Do you say, down, girl, down? No, what happens?
No, you have to embrace that. I think when you have those creative juices flowing, you've really got to embrace that. You sort of put yourself away and let that come out.
Do the characters sort of tell you things you weren't even aware of or thinking about at the time? Does it lead to that?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, you're essentially acting in your head. You're pretending to be that person at that time so that you can write it authentically.
Sure.
So you're imagining, what they would think, what they would say, how they would feel, and you're kind of trying your best to put yourself in that place, and that's what the reader does when they read it. So
True.
I think you owe it to the reader to put yourself in that place when you're writing it.
There you go. Thinking Out Loud with J.R. Cooper. His book is The Last Saint. Now, you have a signing coming up pretty soon locally, right?
Yeah, there's a book fair at the Barnes & Noble on State of Franklin.
In Johnson City.
Yeah, and that's on the 20th, and I'll be there from 2 o'clock to 4 o'clock that afternoon.
All right.
And I'll be saying hi to people and signing books, and so if it sounds interesting, please, come by and get a copy.
Sure, sounds great. You have not yet created the ebook?
It's in the works. The publisher's letting the printed copy stay out there for a couple weeks. Ebooks tend to outsell about 10 to 1.
Okay,
so I think the printed copy, so that I could sell those and present those, and then we'll start the ebook marketing in earnest.
Is the printed copy? I'm sorry, Bob. Is it available online?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah, it's on Amazon. It's on Barnes & Noble.
Okay, very
sure
good.
is.
What's the process involved in going from the printed to an ebook? Is it just a computer transition?
That's a good question. I have absolutely no idea whatsoever.
You're talking to an author, Bob, not a publisher.
My publisher basically said that I have no responsibility there whatsoever.
Okay.
That it will just
you
appear.
just right.
Right.
We'll take
Apparently, it's magic, and it just magically appears at some point.
That's the way those things seem to happen.
Yeah, they do.
Well, reminder one more time, it's the August 20th at Barnes & Noble in Johnson City. You'll be there from 2 to 4, you said?
2 to 4, yes.
Okay. J.R. Cooper with his first book, but not his last, called The Last Saint. As you evolve into the publishing world and the next book comes out, get in touch with us. We'd like to find out how things are going.
I'd love that. I appreciate it.
Bookmark this page and return for more Thinking Out Loud podcast interviews by the morning team at AM 910 WJCW.